Welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me, Sylbourne.
What if you become Prime Minister? How committed would you be to this goal and guarantee that you give those in the diaspora the right to vote, and logistically your views in regards to that?
Well, you know, I made the suggestion. I wasn't asked.
Yes.
I put it forward.
Yes.
Because I thought it was important to show a sign of commitment to the diaspora.
Yeah.
If you still have your Jamaican citizenship,
I still do.
you can go back to Jamaica, prove that you've resided there for 2 years, and you can vote in the next election.
Yeah.
Do you want a hassle-free experience to buy, build or sell a property in the Caribbean? Perhaps you want a similar experience to deal with another type of property matter in this beautiful part of the world. Whatever your property matter in the Caribbean may be, Tropical Connections will ensure that your experience is one that you'll remember for all the right reasons.
One of the criticism which comes a lot from Jamaicans here in the diaspora is at times the lack of help and assistance they get from the government when contributing to services to help Jamaica, example, shipping of donated school equipment and resources from Britain to Jamaica. What would your government do if in power to help address these problems, which is also a key factor?
You know, I'm asked this question a lot. What would your government do?
Yeah.
And I must tell you, it's a little bit frustrating because I find that people don't research. In the information age, incredibly, people don't have a lot of information. And in a sense, we're to be blamed because you find that you have to keep repeating things over and over again for people to say, oh, okay, that's
Right.
it.
It's there.
It's there. When I was a Minister of Education, I visited the UK and I got the complaints that there is an incredible amount of philanthropy in the UK and in the US and in Canada, people who want to help. My own uncle used to call me every summer to tell me he needs assistance in clearing a container of hospital supplies that he got here, free of cost, to donate to hospitals in Jamaica. And it struck me that there was no attempt by the government to coordinate and synergize the level of philanthropy that existed in the diaspora. And we established in the Ministry of Education, because the greatest philanthropy in the diaspora existed for education. The Old Boys Association, the past students, the alumni associations, they represent the most organized set of philanthropic endeavor in the diaspora. And so what I decided to do was to establish something called the National Education Trust. And what that was designed to do was to organize giving in the diaspora. Because whilst my uncle was getting beds and machines for CT scans and all kinds of things,
Jamaica,
it may not be what the hospitals needed. And it may not be the equipment that fit the purpose in Jamaica. And we found that there were many organizations sending computers, and within a month or so, those are obsolete.
Obsolete, yes.
So the idea was that we would do the inventory, and we would create an information exchange, whether it is through a website or whatever it is. And we would then ask all the philanthropic groups to register. And we would say, here's a list of things, you choose what you would want. Then, so the coordination of it would be under the National Education Trust. And then we would make giving easy. I've heard so many sorry stories, so many sad stories about people giving, wanting to give, and the government almost refusing to take. I was in Washington recently, and a lady told me that she went out of her way, spent several thousands of US dollars to acquire a mobile lab. And all she needed from the government of Jamaica was a letter to say, we will accept this thing. And she couldn't get it. And she ended up having to give it away to another country because we were slow in moving. So we wanted to make giving easier. Right? And then we wanted to make giving accountable, because another problem is a lot of stuff gets sent to Jamaica and a lot of money gets sent to Jamaica, but it doesn't necessarily get used for the purpose.
Right.
And so we would want to say to those who give, okay, give the money to the trust, and the trust will make sure that it gets to the purpose.
So are you saying that is not happening now?
We have established a National Education Trust, but the present government is using it for a totally different purpose.
Right. Okay. Good. Let's talk about the man behind the politics now. A man from humble background, what would you say inspired you, even though you said it before, to become a politician? What would you say is the key factor? You said it briefly, but I want to target it straight there.
You know, I was born in 1972. 1972 is the year that Michael Manley won the elections. And Michael Manley was an inspiring figure for many Jamaicans.
Yeah.
This was the post-colonial era, but it was also the post-independence era.
Yeah.
And so Michael Manley represented the hopes and ambitions of an emerging nation trying to find itself on the world stage.
Yeah.
But it could not escape the context of global politics. Jamaica
Right.
is a small state. And I grew up in the turbulent context of an undeclared civil war leading up to the 1980 elections, which haunted us throughout the 90s. And we still have the remnants in violence that existed as a result of the total breakdown of the economy and the society. And whilst I respected what Michael Manley was trying to achieve in terms of the political exertion of independence,
Yeah.
I was also drawn to the argument of Edward Seaga that it takes economic success to truly display your independence, to truly exercise independence.
Or it takes cash to care.
Well, I think in the way in which it's said, it's
Yeah.
totally misconstrued.
Yeah.
But the deeper, profound meaning of it is that if you look at the route that Singapore took,
Yes.
and Singapore has a similar colonial background, except it didn't have slavery. And it's not as long and deep in the colonial history.
Yeah.
But the truth is, it was a colony.
Yes.
And in the 1960s, we started out at the same level of gross national product per
Yes.
capita. And now Singapore is about 55,000 US dollars GNP per capita. And Jamaica is 5,000
Wow.
GNP per capita. What accounted for that? What accounted for that was that Singapore took a more practical approach to achieving its political independence than did Jamaica.
Yeah.
So the struggle is still there about who we are as a people.
Yes.
Jamaica does exert significant influence on world affairs and world culture. We've been doing that
Yeah.
for centuries. But Jamaica now needs to fulfill its true potential as an economic powerhouse. Jamaica must make it a real mission to end poverty in its shores. I was watching CNN recently,
Yes.
and they were doing a documentary on a U.S. Ship. It's a medical facility that visits countries all over the world,
yeah.
and they came to Jamaica and they treated over 10,000 patients. An amazing facility. But when I flipped the channel, there was also another documentary on Singapore. And when you look at just the juxtaposition of Jamaica and Singapore,
Yeah.
Singapore is now considering, building an entirely new city.
Yes.
And they see building a city as a means of driving growth and accommodating the expansion. Singapore is the size of the parish of St. James.
Right. So therefore, what you're saying is that.
But Jamaica, we
Yeah.
put the idea of a new city. And people who should know better say, what is that going to do?
Yeah.
There is really a kind of lack of vision. And people have been just under the pall of economic depression for so long, and that they don't want to dream anymore. I mean, effectively, what you get is, listen, don't come to me about any dreams or visions. And they keep asking you when you say, we're going to grow. Grow what? Do what? What are you going to do?
Right.
Come to me with solutions. And then when we do come and we in Parliament and we lay out all the solutions, they don't see it. So my point is that there is a sense of frustration in Jamaica that has just prevented people from saying, let's dream again. Let's try and do it again one more time. But that is dangerous.
Are you saying people are not inspired?
I think there is a general level of skepticism and disbelief.
And of anything positive coming through.
Precisely.
Them, they'll say,
Yeah.
right. No, that's very interesting.
But that's dangerous. It's dangerous for democracy. And the studies that have been done under democracy are showing that people are getting very frustrated with democracy as a means of delivering economic growth and development. And they're very frustrated with their politicians. So what is creeping into the politics more and more is people are asking to be paid to vote.
Right.
You know, once that is happening, people are saying, I am not going to take a promise and I'm not going to buy into a vision to vote. Just pay me to vote.
Right.
That's dangerous.
That's very unfortunate, but I'm sure with your leadership that will be addressed.
Well, that's the whole idea. That's why I'm here.
Now, back to the same gentleman and what is behind you. There's been few controversy and criticism, and the JLP suffered a landslide defeat. How does one recover from such drawbacks on a political, professional level, but also on a personal level? Because, as I said, to find out what is that driving force and that determination within it.
You know, the strength of a true politician is not that he won't be knocked down, is that he gets up back and he fights again. And I think if you look at my career, you know, I've been knocked down a few times, but I get back up, I brush myself off, and I keep pushing. I don't give up. I keep fighting, and the worst thing you could do is tell me that I can't. In fact, you know, I like to prove people wrong.
Yes.
And I do try my best to keep on the right track. I'm not infallible. I will make mistakes.
Yes.
But I think my heart is in the right place, and I'm convinced of what my mission is.
Now, for persons now in the diaspora wanting to get involved in Jamaican politics back in Jamaica, what word of advice would you give them? They are in the diaspora, they're in the UK, they're in Canada, and they're looking and they're saying...
Well, I say, Sidiel, you know, the first thing you need to do is come back to Jamaica. and then you need to send an application into the Jamaica Labour Party.
Well, what can I say? That has switched things up slightly bit for me. Okay, that answered the question right there. I guess what that is saying is put your foot into the water. And
come back home.
Yeah. Okay, bear in mind, what is the key words or mantra or quotes that you live by? You know, there's always something that resonates. Those rocky moments, those down moments, what are those words of inspiration? What's the mantra that you live by?
Well, as I said, never give up. I believe in the economic independence of the country because that is the true expression of political independence. No man is an island, and I believe in the team and the teamwork.
Yes.
But I also believe in God and the divine direction that He gives. So, you know, in the lowest of times, in the most difficult times, which I have faced, and I'm certain that every politician would face it, you recognize that you're only a man and you have to get down on your knees and ask for divine guidance, protection, and inspiration. So, you know, I do believe that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And I don't believe in, you know, wishing evil on anyone and to never do anything to harm anyone. But to be graceful, to turn the other cheek sometime, to bear and grin. Good. Because the Beatitudes really form part of my own personal. In fact, you know, Mother Teresa, for me, she's a saint.
Yes.
And she paraphrased what is called the paradoxical commandments. And I draw for it in times of despair and distress. I have it, actually, I have it right here. And I thought I'd leave it with you because you may find it useful as well. It says, people are illogical, unreasonable, and self-centered. Love them anyway.
Okay.
If you do good, people will accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives, but you do good anyway.
Okay.
If you're successful, you will win false friends and true enemies. Succeed anyway. The good you do today will be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Honesty and frankness make you vulnerable. Be honest and frank anyway. The biggest men and women with the biggest ideas can be shut down by the smallest men and women with the smallest minds. Think big anyway. People find favor. People favor underdogs, but follow only top dogs. Fight for a few underdogs anyway. What you spend years building may be destroyed overnight.
Wow.
Build anyway.
Keep building.
Keep building.
Keep building. Heard that. Keep building.
People really need help, but may attack you if you do help them. Help people anyway. Give the world the best you have, and you will get kicked in the teeth. Give the world the best you have anyway.
Andrew Holness, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
And it was a pleasure and it's an honor for you to give us your quality time.
Patrick Clinton Allen, Governor General of Jamaica, in exercise of the power conferred on me by subsection 1 of section 70 of the Constitution of Jamaica, do hereby appoint you, being a member of the House of Representatives, to be Prime Minister.
I, Andrew Michael Holness, do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Jamaica, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of Jamaica, and that I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibility to the people of Jamaica. I pledge to serve the people of Jamaica faithfully, with all my energies, all my heart, mind, and soul. I stand here today happy to represent the voice, vision, vote, and victory of Jamaica. We may have different voices and different votes on similar visions. Regardless of our differences, Jamaica was victorious at the general election.
Stand up if you have a dream, stand up. Stand up if you have a dream. Stand up. Oh no, we have stand up, we have stand up. My dream, my dream, my dream, my dream, my dream. Tell you my dream is to live my dream. Hear the most sign of me sleep when me same. Tell you my goal, my goal, my goal. All of my goal is to reach my goal. Live a happy life, put it on me headstone. Nobody no be cry over me dead. Look at me now, when them treat me less than good. Put me in a box like a rectangle. Oh, oh, look at me now. Look at me now. Oh, look at me now. I mean, I tell you my life. When them used to go round me, go round. No one used to come round me. My life was so lonely. Look at me now. Look at me now. Look at me now. I take plane like JUTC. When you see me, it's on TV. Shows after shows after shows after shows. Tours after tours after tours after tours. When me name call, it's like roars after roars.
Do you want a hassle-free experience to buy, build or sell a property in the Caribbean? Perhaps you want a similar experience to deal with another type of property matter in this beautiful part of the world. Whatever your property matter in the Caribbean may be, Tropical Connections will ensure that your experience is one that you'll remember for all the right reasons.